Hello everyone, and welcome to Debonair Cyber. My name is Devin, and in today's video we're going to be continuing down the intro to Red Team track in Hack the Box. This machine, called Precious, is very aptly named because just about every aspect of the box includes the Ruby programming language in some way, so that is what you're going to expect here. And with that, I think we're ready to get into it. Okay, I think we're ready to kick things off here. We have our machine Precious pulled up here. We have our target IP. We can click to copy that and bring it over here into our virtual machine. First thing I want to do is go into my Hack the Box and VPN directories. Make sure we have connectivity with the environment. You can download your own OVPN file if you've not yet. Enter that sudo password, and you can get that confirmation up in the top right. Your internal IP will change there. And we're going to make a new tab here, back out of this one, and then we want to make a new directory structure for this box in particular so we can stay organized. So I want to use the P flag to specify multiple directories at the same time, and then we want Precious and nmap, and then we can cd into both of those. Oops. There we go. And then we want to kick off a quick nmap scan here. Use sudo nmap. Nope, we're just going to go for all ports to begin with. P-P P-, and then we're going to use the T flag to speed this up just a little bit. And we're going to paste that IP in, sudo password, and we're going to let that run for a minute. Alright, so that's finished up, and we can see here that we have 2 ports open, so now we can just specify that really quick. Again, sudo nmap, we can specify those ports with 2280. We want some service detection and regular scripts, and then we're going to output those to all the file types. We're going to call it Precious, and once again paste in that IP, and we're going to let that run for another minute. Okay, so we get that scan back, and we can see right off the bat here that it did not follow that redirect for the precious.htb. So what we can do here is actually add this to our etc hosts file. So we're just going to do echo and paste that IP, yep, and precious.htb, and we can pipe that into sudo t tac a to append into etc hosts. Alright, that looks good. And then once we get that done, I think we can try this again. And then instead of using the IP, we can use that host name that we just put in. Alright, so pretty quickly that comes back, and we can see here that just by changing from the IP up here to the host name, that we do end up getting some different results here. We actually get more information by putting that host name in. So here we can see we're running on an Nginx server and Fusion Passenger. So I'm not really sure what this is, but we can always go to the Google machine and try to find out. So based on a quick Google search here, we can see Passenger is an app server that runs and auto manages your web apps with ease, also improves security, reliability, and scalability. So it looks like this is just something that goes on top of the Nginx platform to kind of help out developers and keep things updated and that sort of thing. One last thing here, we can actually see that this is the title of this page is Convert Web Page to PDF. I think with all of that, we are good to go ahead into the web page itself. Okay, so we find ourselves on this Convert Web Page to PDF page. What we really want to do is try to find out the real functionality of this page, what it's intended to do. You can see I've been playing around with this a little bit. We can try to do things like localhost, local.test, google.com, things like this. None of those are pulling anything back. But what I want to try to do is make a Python server on our attack machine and see if we can get a callback from there. So we can see here we're serving on port 80 because I specified it here. And then we can go to the IP, not with any other files, just the IP itself. Again, you can get your IP from the top right if you're in Cali, and submit. What that's going to do is actually convert that into a PDF that we can download and look at. Okay. And one other thing that I want to do here is see if we can get any other information from this PDF now that it's downloaded. Maybe we can get something from the metadata that might give us some kind of clue here, because it, other than that, doesn't tell us anything else. So nope, we don't want to change it. We'll just move from downloads and then get that B7, and then we can run, specify this directory, and then we can use exif tool to look at the metadata for this file. Helps if you use your tab finishing there. Alright, we can see here that the creator was generated by PDFKit version 086. So we can do a pretty quick Google search here. And straight off the top here we get two command injection vulnerabilities. Alright, so we find ourselves here on this GitHub page from Nick No Lady, maybe? PDF command injection for 086. And we can see run a netcat listener and then run the exploit. Seems simple enough. Come up here to code. We can copy this and go into our terminal, git clone, paste that in there. You can see that, and then we can move over into that directory. And let's just try to run that CVE and see what happens. So we see we need a target, an address for the reverse connect, and a port. Cool. So let's do that again. Target is going to be HTTP precious.htb. The address that we want is going to be our host, 10.10.14.12 in my case. And we're going to listen on 8443. Let's go ahead and set that up now. LVNP 8443. Cool. And let's fire that off. Alright, we see we get our reverse shell here. ID of Ruby. We can see we're in the PDF app directory. And we're just going to start poking around. Okay, so before we get too carried away with the enumeration here, as I clearly already have, we can see here, if you look at the environment, that we are user Ruby, and the Ruby actually does have a home directory. If we were to go over there, we can see that we can see here under the hidden directories here, if we were to do the LA flag here, that we do have a non-standard .bundle. That looks interesting. Let's check this out. We have a config here. Oh, whoops! That is not a directory. If I learn how to read. So we can see we have more credentials here. That makes me wonder if we now have SSH access into the box. First thing we want to do though is put these into a file. So we can echo those credentials into a file called henry.creds. Cool, now we have them saved. We can SSH henry at precious.htb. Copy that password. Yes. And looks like we're in. And there's your user.text flag. Alright, so now we're SSH in the machine. You got your user.txt here. And we can begin to enumerate a little bit further. I like to use the ID command, make sure we're not part of any special groups or anything like that. Usually we could do netstat. Just some initial enumeration. Make sure we're not missing anything that we couldn't see before. We do see this non-standard port is a little bit interesting. Maybe if we run out of all other avenues, we can take a further look there. Otherwise, nothing too interesting. Alright, and then obviously we want to use sudo attack L, and we can see that we can run a looks like we can run Ruby, and we can update dependencies with this script. So we'll wonder if we might be able to just read that. Okay, so we've got this catted out here. We can see compared install dependency with those specified in dependencies.yaml, required YAML, Ruby gems, and to do update versions automatically. So it's looking like this is going to go through this dependencies.yaml and try to update, those files. So I wonder then if we could just take that command and run it and see if we could get some kind of output. Okay, it says no such file or directory at sysopen dependencies.yaml. Okay, so this is interesting. The hard-coded dependencies.yaml is a relative file path, meaning that if we could write our own dependencies.yaml, that we could potentially find a way to escalate our privileges here. Okay, so now we have a decent idea of what our attack vector might be. We know we need to come in here and make a malicious dependencies.yaml file. So we can go and see what this YAML library is actually doing. And we can see here that this module provides a Ruby interface for data serialization in YAML. So if we could find some way to deserialize this format, this YAML format, we'd be gold. Luckily, there's a giant GitHub repo for this. You're probably aware of it. If we search for Ruby Ruby deserialization, we can see right up top here, payloads, all the things, insecure deserialization for Ruby. Okay, so it looks like from here that we need to figure out what version of Ruby we might be running, because there's multiple things we could try here. So okay, Ruby 2.7. Okay. Oh, sorry, 2.7.2. We're at 2.7.4. So looks like we can use this universal gadget here. We'll copy that. Okay, so with that copied, we can bring that back over into our terminal, and we can nano dependencies.yaml and paste that in. And we can try to run that sudo command once again. Okay, so this is interesting. We can see here that this UID was executed. Now, I'm not sure if you really paid attention. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that in this, we are specifying this get set and it is calling the ID command. And we can do that. You can see the same thing down here. This one is sleep for 600 seconds. I don't really want to test that one, but we can change this hard-coded ID into something that may be more useful. So instead of running the ID command, we can go to rev shells and generate ourselves a Ruby reverse shell. Ruby 1 looks pretty short. Linux. We can change our IP and port here at the top. Make sure that matches yours. 1412 in my case. 4444 is fine. And we want to encode this into a base 64 payload, and we can copy that. Okay, so now with that base 64 encoded payload, we can come back into the precious machine and nano that dependencies.yaml file. Come down here to the git set and replace that with echo and paste in our base 64 encoded payload. Pipe that into base 64-D to decode it, and then pipe all that into bash. That way it will serve us up a reverse shell, and we can exit out of that. And finally, we want to come over here and set up our listener, netcat lvmp 4444, because that's what we chose here in the generator. And with all that in place, we should be good to fire off. And we can see that we get a connection here. If we hit ID, we are indeed root. cd root, and we can get that root.txt. Alright, and with that, I think that's going to wrap up today's video. I know I really enjoyed this kind of a deep dive into the Ruby programming language here, and I hope you did too. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.